looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Light on Living. I'm Life Coach Lisa, holistic nutritionist and life coach, helping to lighten the load of life's challenges. One of my biggest challenges, I seem to be always wanting and searching for that best answer, is how do I get things done? And this has really come to my attention lately because I've shared with some of my listeners that I've had some new company. My sister has moved in. Well, she moved in and now she's moving out to my own home here. And I seem to, every room has been altered and changed in some way just because there's stuff being stored and there's a different flow and people are coming. She has two little girls, my nieces and her fella. And so I look around at every room, and something that is just continuously, in a weird way, stressing me out is I think, oh my gosh, I have to get this done. I have to get that done. And the distraction is so overwhelming me that I think, okay, let me share with everybody. I want to learn what are some helpful tips and tools to get through stuff. So how do we get things done? I was reminded of I'm sure they have 5 now too, but the 4 Ds, the letter D, 4 Ds. And I learned years and years and years ago, but it came up to me and I thought, yes, I need to do the 4 Ds. So I'm going to share the 4 Ds today throughout the show. And before that, I found this amazing quote. We'll say it's a quote. And I thought, wow, isn't this bang on? And so here's the quote. It's by David Allen. And he says, much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they started. And I was really aligned with this statement, and I really want to break that down for everybody. I think I'm one of those people that walk around and in my own head, maybe I don't say it, but I definitely walk around thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I have so much to do. And what it is that I realize now with this one quote, my stress is actually coming from not finishing what I've started, not finishing or even doing anything. So that's where I want to really go into these 4 Ds. Now I'm going to share them with you right now what they are. And technically there's 5 because I joined one. But the 4 Ds are do, drop, delegate, and delay. Now I've joined it discuss with delay, and we're going to get into why I've done that. But the do was a really big thing because start to think about doing. Okay, so if I want to get things done, and if the stress is coming from me not finishing things or me just looking around, being overwhelmed, and that's actually a big thing. I usually, my plate gets so full, and then this actually can distract me in a way that I don't want to do anything because I don't know where to start. And so going through the 4 Ds really as thoroughly as I have for the first time to share this with you, I realized that this is going to be a great formula for anybody who's really feeling any of those things, whether they're feeling paralysis by analysis. That's actually what I think. Sometimes I think I'm in. I'm like, oh, there's so much. I'm just getting so stuck. But so this really let's go through the do. Like, okay, so we have all the stuff that we quote unquote have to do or we're thinking about. So out of them, we're going to make a decision. Are we going to actually do something? Are we going to actually drop something? Are we going to delegate it, or are we going to put it off and just delay? So going into the doing really comes, it's so important that we have coming from a place of calmness and not anxiety when we do it. It's also coming from a place of not feeling guilty about not doing it, because the more we sit in guilt, that guilt can actually prevent us from doing it. Now, last week or the week before, I thought of something, and I was feeling very guilty, like regretful. And this is very new. I don't usually have those feelings. I'm pretty, I'm compassionate and understanding to myself, but I thought, oh my goodness, I'm experiencing regret. So I came up with a line, a little thing that says, don't regret, reset. And so when I'm talking about resetting, so when you want to come from a place, you've chosen to do something, I'm going to really recommend that everybody make sure that use the whole Ho'oponopono. Make sure you go through that guilt and clear it, and be very calm and not have anxiety. So there's a couple affirmations and stuff I want to share with you, but one of them, as I love saying, is that when you want to do something, really come off by saying, I am confident in my own judgment. Now, why I say that is when we're choosing to do something or not do something, here's the reason why we usually don't do something. It's we don't have the knowledge to do it. It takes too long. Like this is just, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. That's a big job. That's too long of a job. Or we're physically unable. And if we are physically unable, that means we may need help. We have to ask someone else to help us. A big one is afraid of failing. And I'm going to go back into these ones. I just want to run through this list here. Another one could be the cost of something. Maybe you have to fix something on a car, and, that part is just too much money right now. Or your phone is broken, and you have to fix that. It's like, I got to get that done. And this is a really sneaky one that can come up on you. Sometimes we don't do things because once we do that thing, the change will have an effect or a certain result that prior to it happening, we're a little bit uncomfortable with or scared of it happening. Sometimes, I want to put this into a thing, is that sometimes maybe the change that we have to do is to quit our job. Maybe the change is to move. Maybe the change is to take a course, and that course would result in a new career. Or maybe doing something is even having a conversation and speaking with somebody that will bring to light or things just out in the open that, we have to now address. So the doing is very an action-oriented thing. However, doing can be so many things of doing. Now, my big story about one thing I have been seriously, and I know I'm completely holding this off, is I am not doing something that would change my life for the better, but A, it's going to take too long, and B, I don't know how to do it exactly, so I'm scared. And I know that I should engage other people to help, but really what it is, my laptop is broken, and it's the thing I work on the most. And it's got to be 2 months, and I keep putting this off. But I also know that, and maybe it's a subconscious thing, because if there's something in your life, maybe there's something in your life that it sounds like you should do it. Of course you should do this. This is a working tool. You need to fix this. And then when you fix it, you could do all those other things. But then I started thinking, maybe I'm actually scared to do all those other things. So I know that, I'm using it as my excuse. Maybe it's like, I can't do that. My laptop's broken, or for me, there's a bunch of other things. I definitely don't know how to do it. And I am scared that I'll mess it up. But I loved going through the do part of what are the things that are stressing me out in my life, because I'm finding out all these underlying things. And when I go through that list of what are they? Do I really not have the knowledge? Could I obtain it? Is it really going to take that much time? Why don't I just schedule it in? Am I physically unable to? And do I need help? Am I afraid of failing? And I need to address this with love and compassion. And do I have the money that's necessary to do those changes? And for me, or for anybody doing this, once you do that, let's not focus on those things that we're kind of nervous or scared about. We definitely want to address them, but perhaps think of the positives, what will come from that, from doing it, and really focus on that result. I want to give a lot of kudos to some websites and people that I've gone through, and I want to share from Finer Minds, that's FINER, minds.com, and I want to find out about the doing. What chakra is involved in the doing of things? And this really came down to being accomplishing things. So the third chakra in our solar plexus is where willpower, ambition, action taking, and accomplishment is coming from. Now, accomplishment is what makes the ego feel valued. And I love this part of this. Is a really neat little thing here I want to share. I thought this was so beautifully said. The accomplishment is completely attached to outcome, whereas contribution is not attached to a reward in and of itself. And I was thinking about that, and I know we're going to head into commercial here shortly, but just thinking about doing something and how good we feel when we accomplish something, and that the contribution that we're making in life of that doing is where we're going to feel great. So we'll be right back and go into more of the D's.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Humanity Healing International is a small nonprofit with a big dream. Since 2007, HHI has been working tirelessly to bring help to communities with little or no hope. Our projects are not broad mandates, nor are they overnight solutions, but they bring the reassurance that no one is alone and that someone cares. To learn more, please visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, and of course, companionship. Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
Fantastic cat. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt.
Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
And we're back and talking about the D's of just getting things done and really having that stress removed from our lives, from the overwhelm and from our big, long list of things that we feel we have to literally do. We're talking about the actual doing of things right now, like which things are we looking at our life are we really going to do? So how do we move forward? And so we're just going to continue with talking about that. And I left off talking about how accomplishment. So when we do something, accomplishment is that feeling of I can keep doing this. I feel like I've done something. I mattered. I value something that I contributed is making a change in this world. And when we're looking at the third chakra, the solar plexus, that's where, as I mentioned, the willpower, the ambition, the action, the accomplishment feeling. So if anybody's feeling that like little stress ball in their tummy there, really to go inside and find that emotion for you if you're feeling accomplished. I mean, there's nothing worse than just waking up and feeling you haven't done anything, or you don't have something to be proud of in that way. So that was a thing I want to go into. I found something from Rachel Gadiel, Gadiel, and I wanted to look up some really, really helpful affirmations about motivation and goals. Now, the reason why I'm talking about motivation is it comes back to that accomplishment. I know that when I walk through my house right now and I'm seeing all this stuff everywhere that just it looks so disheveled and out of place, that I'm not motivated in the way that I normally would, that I have that flow, that movement. So in taking the actual steps of doing things, here are some really cool motivational and goals affirmations that I want to share with you, again, by Rachel Gadiel. So here's one. Today, I will take one step toward my dreams. To use dreams, we could say that goal of the doing, right? My mind is clear, focused, and energized. Giving up is easy and always an option, so let's delay for another day. That was kind of a fun one. We're going to use that one again in our delay section. Action is the energy that translates my thoughts into reality. I just love that one. Action is the energy that translates my thoughts into reality. That might be my favorite one so far. My daily process goals inspire me to action every day. Now that's a neat one. You know, we have the process goals, like a process. I'm thinking my daily process goals. So what is it every day that what inspires you to do that doing of it? Like, what is that thing that will say, you know what, I really want to get this done? Here's another one. When I follow my plan, positive things happen. Now that one is so cool. This is a fun little story to share. I have a really dear friend, been friends for 14 years now. And so we had a fun little brainstorm powwow meeting last week. And she is so excited to to do a certain project, and we were life coaching each other through this, and we came up with this amazing plan for her. And then as that one little, like, just tears of joy of feeling that elated, like, I have a plan. And so it was really neat that when she started following that plan, and then I got so happy about this plan. Of course, I added to my plate of things because I thought, I want to work on this plan with this project with her. And so more and more positive things happen. There is a beautiful flow when we do. So if you're feeling like you're just losing structure, just write a little plan of it. Not just like these are just goals and things. This is the plan, how you get things done. And moving forward into this, the next one was my to-do list keeps me motivated and on track. Now, this is a good thing to keep a really positive outlook on a list that you might have. I know sometimes we can get, just by looking at a list, just by looking at our to-do list, it sounds like, my to-do list, that's awful. But if you have a to-do list that keeps you motivated and on track. There's another one. I know where I want to go, and I have a plan to get there. So back to that planning. I am willing to step outside of my comfort zone to accomplish the goals I set for myself. Now, here's one that I could use it good for because my computer is so outside of my comfort zone. But if I just say I'm willing, just willing. I'm not going to say I'm going to be perfect at it. I'm not, going to be great at it. But I am willing to step outside of my comfort zone to accomplish the goals that I set for myself. I possess the wisdom, the power, the motivation, the inspiration, and the passion to accomplish anything and everything I choose. And then I love this one. Today, I take firm action towards my goals. The key word there being firm action. Words actually, firm. I know sometimes I feel like I'm so committed to something and I make a decision, but then I'm swayed, whether it be because my mood is a little bit lifted or lightened, or I see how somebody else is reacting and perhaps, I let their goals, or their plan take over mine. But I think that's really important to say, today I take firm action towards my goals. And continuing on with this lovely Rachel Gadiel's affirmations here, we have one for habits. Habits was huge if you want to do something. Because I often find that if you want to do something, there's a habit either surrounding it, like healthy habits, like every day you do a certain thing that puts you in the mood physically, mentally, emotionally. And so her beautiful affirmations here, I am the master of my habits. I release all habits that are disempowering. I release all habits that are disempowering. That is a cool one. I actually felt something just leave my body right there when I said that. That felt so good. I release all habits that are disempowering. All my actions are in perfect harmony with my purpose. Now, if that doesn't make you want to do your to-do list, I don't know what would. That is amazing. I love that one. All my actions are in perfect harmony with my purpose. I only get hooked on empowering habits. That's fun. My willpower is stronger than any habit. Now that's a good one. That's a heart-centered one, isn't it? My willpower is stronger than any habit. I hold the power of change in my mind. Actually, that's a beautiful one. I have incredible self-control. Now, you have to say that twice because it's so good. I have incredible self-control. I gratefully let go of old, limiting behaviors. That one feels good too in the heart. I feel like I'm just allowing that to say, you know what? There's my don't regret, reset. And that kind of goes right with that, doesn't it? I gratefully let go of old, limiting behaviors. So behaviors, if you are doing something, that can become a behavior. So if you're not doing something, that can be a behavior as well. And here's a closing off one. Week by week, I am changing my habits for the better. I love that she says week by week there because it's not that, some things can be immediate and instant. They are a decision. They are a choice. But when we say week by week, it just allows us that transition time, whatever works for you, to be able to do these things. I like to just close on and say, I am confident in my own judgment. I think that's huge when we're thinking of all those affirmations and those have goals and habits to do that. And I feel like when we choose that something is going to fall into the category of to do, I'm going to do this, I think that is a commitment, and I think that would be best if we can be, unwavering in that and let all the things go that are going to prevent you from doing it. Let them go, but do it with compassion and do it with honor, and to say, you know what, these things have held me back, but I'm committing to this. I have my habits. I have my plan. I feel good about it. Positive things will flow from this. And that's a great way to get the do accomplished. Now, what happens if there's things in our list of things that we say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I need to drop it. Like, just drop. That's it. I'm not going to delay. I'm not going to delegate. I have to drop it. I've titled this under saying goodbye. You know what? This is just too much over what it doesn't fit in my life. This is something perhaps at one time I had said yes to, but honestly, it doesn't fit. It's not in alignment with where I am. This one was a really tricky one to do because really what are the reasons why we might not drop something? What has prevented us from giving ourselves permission to drop it? And we just keep it on our plate. Well, sometimes we've kept it thinking something was going to be easier to do than we thought. And then we have regret being like, what if I drop this and I'm not sure if I was really done? Like, what if I drop it and I shouldn't have dropped it and then I appear like I'm a failure? Or what if people think I'm a quitter? What if I think I'm a quitter? And it takes a big thing to be able to admit that we can either do it or take it. Like, this is such a hard thing to say, gosh, if I don't do this, if I drop it, am I really admitting that I can't do it? That I'm not Superwoman or Superman and that I can't take it on because I certainly, there's a stigma that I don't want people to judge me like that. And then also when we drop things, there's a sadness for letting something go. Now, this is probably one of my biggest things. It's a sadness, like, really, this idea, this project, this work, this relationship, this job, this something, it's not going to go. Like, out of everything I've done and put into it, it's like, really, I have to let it go. So that's one of my things, and I'm going to share a little story about of dropping things, actually letting go. About a year and a half ago, I was doing a little bit of restructuring, and I guess I was at the decision point of saying, oh my goodness, am I going to do this or am I going to drop it? And I didn't realize how emotional, so emotional this was, because my commitment to this, and it was actually about my dating your diet. As a nutritionist, I've just been a nutritionist for what seems like forever, and it was so close to my heart, but I was really struggling with, when I move on or when I create a new program, do I really have to drop did I really have to drop dating your diet? And I was just hanging on to that so bad. And I still, it's funny when you make a decision, you think, oh, and I moved forward and I created something called the teaspoon diet, which, again, wavering back and forth, I felt so, did I just quit on dating your diet? Did I fail? Or could I really not do it? And this is a neat little story here because we're going to talk about when we can delay something. And even at the time, I thought I was going to drop it, but I actually delayed it, and I'll share that when we go into the delay part. But really what that was about, there was a sadness in my heart about actually dropping something. So if there's something that whether you're judging yourself on the ego level of feeling like a failure or just thinking, oh, I can't do it, or perhaps it is a sadness part. And because that's kind of a neat thing. I just had a wonderful friend who's out in Spain write today, and they're writing a book, and they've gone back to some of the material, and they have to do rewrites. And I thought, well, that was kind of interesting because that, in a way, too, is you have to drop some things. So even when we're in our own writing, it doesn't have to be a big project, it doesn't have to be a big to-do thing, it doesn't have to be anything, but even in our thoughts and the way we write, sometimes we have to drop things. And I think that's a little bit of a letting go, saying goodbye. The whole thing about that is we're basically evaluating the priority and importance of things. And I know we're going to head into commercial here, but when we come back, I definitely want to talk about that, evaluating the priority and importance of things. And this changes as life evolves, our own life, because how we evaluate things and where the priority and importance lies, that is going to change, and that's something very important to be able to drop. So when we come back, that's what we shall discuss.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And we're back, and we're talking about how to lighten that stress and overload by choosing to either do things, drop things, delegate them, or delay them. And we were in our middle of talking about how to decide to drop something and make that decision and evaluate the priority and importance of that thing in our life, and how that really does change on the circumstances of your own life, what's going on in your life. And if you kind of remember a time that just 6 months ago, something was so important, like it was beyond important, and now you're just like, oh my gosh, I remember I was putting so much energy and focus into needing to get that done, and then suddenly now you think, oh gosh, I didn't do it, but it doesn't have that importance now. So things do change in our lives, and that's why it's important to go back through that to-do list and maybe cross it off, make yourself feel a little bit lighter on that list, and say, no thanks. I'm not interested in this any longer. I love that right there. No, thank you. No, thanks. I'm not interested. That's such a free and clear, easy thing to be able just to say. That's, a lot of times we don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, or we, like I said, we don't want to judge ourselves, but we can't say no, thank you. So that's a neat thing to do. Have we accepted too much because we were afraid to say no? And are we not letting go because we fear we might regret that decision? I have a fun couple statements for this one. It says, I will stop worrying about what others think of me, as I am confident in my own judgment. I love that line. I'm just going to repeat that. I will stop worrying. Because worrying, that's a lot of wasted energy right there. I will stop worrying about what others think of me. I am confident in my own judgment. So if there's something in your life and you need to let go, then you need to say no and just drop it. So the two chakras involved here are actually the root for letting go, the root chakra, and then the solar plexus, making a decision. Oh, that's a tough one. Because, making that decision is so fine, or it seems at times. And, I do want to just remind you of that little story. When I did make a decision, at that time was important for me to drop dating your diet, to move forward, to make commitment space and energy to new projects. But sometimes we can delay them. So I found something, spinning.com, there's a writer, Michelle Colvin, and there's a few little lines here that I just loved. It says, you must accept the natural law of life. You must accept that there will be obstacles, frustrations, and barriers when getting to where you want to go. I thought it was interesting because in the choice of deciding, do I drop this or not, sometimes there's just enough obstacles and frustrations and barriers in the way that you can't. You have to drop it. Like, you just can't do that thing. That is not going to go on the to-do list. It's going to go on the drop list. Here's another one. Be like water. Know when to go through an object, know when to go around, and allow the natural current to go through or around you. Now, I usually say at the beginning of the show that Light on Living is here to help you get through obstacles, not over them. So it's kind of drawn to this one. And water is certainly like that, going through and not over. And when I read that, know when to go around, and I never thought about that, right? So not over, and allow the natural current to go through around you. So work with spirit, work with your own intuition, work with those things. Acknowledge the wins and losses, and then move on. That's a big one. Acknowledging both the wins and losses. That is where that sadness might have crept in for you before, that's acknowledging those, and then move on. It's done. You don't have to sit there about worry, about regret, about feeling bad. It's time to move forward with the positives. And what are you going to do? To be in balance, you must first know what it feels like to be out of balance. That one's a big important one when you're looking at your to-do list and you're thinking, do I need to drop this? Well, you know what? If you're not feeling in balance, because there's so many things on that list, you want to drop something. There's got to be a priority there. So to be in balance now, you must first know what it feels like to be out of balance. And this will come to a lot of things, whether it be in relationships or in careers or things like that. We know when it's not right, and we know when we have to drop things. And finally, keep life simple. Conserve energy and be content with what you have. This one's a big one. Keep life simple. It's such a beautiful thing. Sometimes, I know I already talk a lot, but I actually talk less than I used to talk. I realize that not everybody needs to know everything that's going on in your life and all these things, and you don't even need to think about all those details. Keep it simple. Conserve that energy. Allow your motivation and your spirit and your drive to be coming from your heart and coming from your soul and letting that flow through you. So I think that's the best one to close off when you're deciding to drop something. So much compassion and understanding comes in here. I'm going to move into delegate. Delegate is the other one of our D's, and something very helpful because perhaps you're not going to do it. Perhaps it's not time to drop it. But it's time to delegate it. You need it done. You want this done, and you don't want to drop it, but you do need help. Now, what is the best thing about, I have a fun story for this one for delegating. Now, delegating is all about matching a skill with the right person who can most effectively carry out that task. So first, of course, we need to know the direction of, what that goal is that we want to get done. So where's this going to go? What do I need to get done? What's the direction? What's that plan? And who in your life, or maybe it's a software. Maybe software is going to be who you're going to delegate this to. Maybe it's a person. But delegating is so interesting. I'm trying to think what year this would have been. I think it was back in 2009. I was starting part of my business. It was a certain part of Dating Your Diet, and I had the wonderful experience of getting to have co-op students work for me. They needed experience, they needed hours, they wanted to do stuff, they were eager, their minds were fresh and working, and they came. I had two of them, actually. I was really lucky, and they were, waiting for my direction, my lead. I was supposed to delegate things to them, like to give them to do. But my goodness, did I ever fail? I'm the worst person to ever do this. I didn't know what to give over to them. I was hanging on to, no, only I can do this, or it's not going to be done the way I need it done. And I wasn't actually thinking about this consciously. I just realized in the result that, these two poor girls who were just ready to go, I was giving them nothing. I didn't know how to delegate. And I guess looking back, I think the one thing that would have helped me was I should have really known what their skill set was. What were they really good at that they would have felt amazing doing? And what did I have to really, truly realize and commit that I couldn't do it? Maybe it was that I didn't have the time to do it because I had so much to do. Maybe I didn't have the skill set to do it myself. Or maybe it just I didn't have the money or the resources, and now these people were able to do it. So this made me, when I was reading about delegating, I realized, goodness, I'm really bad at that. However, I'll have to say, now that I've got my sister's living here and there's been so many people moving in and out and everything, that it was fun to be able to realize I'm getting better at delegating. Okay, you do that, you do this, because I'm good at this and you're good at that. You cut the vegetables, I'll do this, kind of mix and match it. As it really realize that when it's time to delegate, figure out what is you want done. What is that goal? What is important? Find the right person or the supporting tools that have those right skill sets, and be confident in your decision. Again, remember, I am confident in my own judgment. This of delegating, this kind of goes with our third chakra. I saw this beautiful thing. Mercedes Kirkel, Mercedes and then Kirkel is Kirkel. I found this really neat thing that she talked about power sharing. Because that's a cool thing, really. Because when you talk about delegating tasks, that means you have to relinquish power and control and literally give it to somebody else and have confidence in them. So I'm going to read this. So this is what Mercedes wrote. Third chakra, solar plexus. Power sharing and partnership, cooperation. Living our individual and collective life purpose. Maintaining the intention to bring love and consciousness in all of our interactions, and the will to align our actions with that intention. Living as conscious manifestors for the highest good of all. Right now, I want to go through my list and just go, who can I delegate to? I want to be, a team with everybody and cooperating and manifesting all together. I just thought what she wrote was so beautiful. And in that last one, I just want to remind us here, maintaining the intention to bring love and consciousness in all of our interactions. Interactions means interaction. We're all doing this together and everybody's interacting. And the will to align our actions with that intention. I've always loved the word aligned. It makes me feel, whenever I think of something aligning, I think of if I stood up nice and straight and tall and all the chakras are in alignment, I can feel energies flowing through me. And what really helps with that is we're comfortable. We feel safe enough to delegate. We feel confident in others. We feel supported. Right now, I feel like, oh my goodness, I want to delegate as much as I can. So we've got the doing, we've got the dropping, we've got delegating. And in going on to this, I wrote, I am comfortable delegating tasks. I love that. I am comfortable. I'm comfortable. But I always say and joke around, I'm a cat, and cats just love being comfortable. So there's that comfort one. I found something by Personal Development Wisdom online here, and I love that they said this. They said, I don't have to do everything and be everything. My life is so much more relaxed and pleasurable when I let go of the need to do everything myself. In addition, I actually enjoy more success when I let others handle some of the tasks and responsibility. At work, delegating projects and tasks is a skill I use effectively. That's fun. I love that word, skill again. I match up the task with the person who can do it best. I am comfortable in asking for help whenever I need it. That's a tricky one, too. And so if anybody is feeling right now like, I'm just uncomfortable asking, I didn't even know how to ask for help. Just think about this. I am comfortable in asking for help whenever I need it. This allows me to focus on my parts of the project so I can do them well. And we want to do these things well. And that's maybe sometimes I choose not to do something. Like, I'm not going to do it well. I'm just going to suck at it. So delegating can help there. And then it says, when I delegate, I refrain from trying to control everything. I am confident that the team around me can do an exceptional job, even if their methods are different from mine. Right there in that little line, I want to just come back to this right now. It says, I refrain from trying to control everything. We often try to control things because we have fear. We're afraid. We're afraid of of losing our own control, of being blamed if it doesn't go right, of it not being well done. So just have that confidence that the team around you can do an exceptional job, even if their methods are different from mine. And that's a neat thing. I probably that was a tricky one for me, but when I have stepped back, and now I actually enjoy seeing what somebody else can come up with. It's creation. It's like everybody's coming together and brainstorming, and they get to shine. And just like we do Light on Living, get to shine the light on their skills and their methods. So fostering a team spirit. So I'm just going to continue with this just before commercial. However, I may have to break here, but fostering a team spirit lets everyone. Oh, there we go. We're coming back. Soon.
connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Me, a cat, moving in with a new human. It took a little getting used to. She has these weird games she likes to play, like this giant feather. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. She sticks it in my face. I swat it away. It's almost like she thinks I enjoy it. But seeing how much fun she gets out of it, well, I guess it makes it all worth it. Humans.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
And we're back with our lovely D-letter words, helping us to reduce the stress and get things done effectively. I just want to continue on with our delegate. It's funny because this one seems to actually be like the biggest one, the one that's exciting me, and I'm starting to realize, even as I'm sharing here with all of you, that that's the big one. So I want to continue by saying here, and this is where I found these wonderful things from personal development wisdom. And who doesn't love that word, wisdom? So here we go. Fostering a team spirit. Let's everyone be a part of the success. I think that was where even I was a little bit really drawn to, because a lot of times people think if I don't do all of the work myself, I won't get the accolade or the acknowledgement. But, you know, when people really do embrace a team, that team spirit, it's everybody. Everybody is succeeds. The cooperation, it's everything. So the better I perfect my delegating skills, the less everyone feels the need to turn to me for everything. And boy, oh boy, does that just make you feel good. You don't have to be the one that everybody comes to. And that's a lot of overwhelm relief. So at home, delegating chores teaches my children responsibility and enables them to feel like an integral part of the family. It also lets them enjoy the feelings of pride and confidence for a job well done. That one's a really neat one. We go back to that feeling of accomplishment. It's so important to really instill in children as they're learning life, like they're learning life skills. And when we delegate chores. My sister and I both, we were just little teeny tiny ones, and we always had our chores, and they were delegated based on our skill. My sister's a little older than I am, and so she got bigger faster. And I remember at first I had chosen that vacuuming was going to be my thing, and she could clean the bathrooms. Well, it turned out I was too little to hold the vacuum cleaner, and it used to hurt my hands all the time because my hand around it, and I would struggle, and so what happened was I would cut corners, and I literally would, and just not do an effective, I wasn't doing a great job. Of course, then I felt I wasn't feeling confident about my job, and I felt like I wasn't doing things I should be doing. So, in fact, to this day, I always pick the bathrooms to clean now because I just thought, no vacuuming for me. I will clean the bathrooms. So I just really appreciate that my parents did do that. They didn't say, oh, no, we don't want to make our children work or let them play all the time. No, this is important. So even as a parent, it's important to delegate those chores. And continuing on, delegating the responsibility of the household also provides me more time to enjoy my family and gives me a chance to take better care of myself. And that's a big one. Once we start delegating, we actually do have a little bit of time to do it says right here, I can take time to relax, exercise, pray, and meditate, which all contribute to helping me to be the best I can be. Doing so refreshes me, releases stress, and recharges my energy. I can then tackle the things I want to do with renewed vigor and passion. So then we can get back to that to-do list. So closing it off today, I plan to delegate effectively, knowing that in refraining from trying to do everything and be everything, I am setting myself up for greater success throughout the day. Just love that. Delegating was fun. So we've done the do. We've done the drop. We've done the delegate. And now we go into delay. Delay to me is also involves discussion. That's a really neat one because you look at stuff, and this is where I was speaking about earlier. There's something I'm not confident in my judgment about dropping something, but yet I'm not ready to do it, and it's not something I want to delegate. I do have the skill set. It's this is for me to do. So this falls under the delay section. And in order to delay something, you have to discuss it. It's called the pause button. This is what I look at like this. We're just going to pause this. We're going to slow down. We're going to stop. We're going to be aware. And I want to think ahead. And it's something that is just in the flow. It is in the flow there. Here's the one. This is all about judgment and expression. So remember, the discussion is about expressing. Then you have to make a judgment. You have to make a decision. And so that's really a throat chakra thing. So really kind of like, allow that expression, allow that throat chakra just open up. Now, when you're figuring out if something needs to be delayed, you just sit back and say, am I pushing this? Like, am I pushing it? Is this stressful? Am I stressing over it? And worse, are you forcing it? Are you forcing things to happen? And so if you're feeling like it's just not something that's easily getting done, it's not something that you're not being able to decide to drop it, then this is definitely going to fall under there. So it does require making a judgment, dealing with it versus doing it, dropping or delegating. And finally, what you want to do is you want to analyze and evaluate if it is a priority. That is, I think, the key there when you're deciding to delay something. Priority. Is it a priority? When we're trying to figure that out, because I know, what was it? Goodness, I'm going to go back 20 years now. 20 years, I remember one of my first relationship I signed up for relationship coaching, and I was being coached. And I was asked to do a core values and priority list. And I really realized that how to decide what is a priority in your life, we actually kind of have to know what our core values are. Those are things, if we know our core values, that's what motivates us. That's what keeps us in alignment, so we can decide, okay, this is a priority. This is necessary to do. A little story about my own thing. I got hit. I was in a car accident about 6 weeks ago now, and I just kept delaying and putting off looking for another one. I was probably in a little bit of denial that I didn't have my baby, my car anymore. That we just get so close to, and meant so much. And even though it was a priority, of course, I was in such denial that it's a priority. I had to get this up. My rental car, was going to be up, and I need to figure out what was I going to do. So that was something I kept delaying, but it was because I had some emotional things to get through. But when you think of things, you're going to put them in, I'm going to delay this. You know what is really helpful is to have a deadline. Have a deadline, and I like the word timeline better. Deadline, that always makes me feel like, oh no, it's a deadline. It stresses me right out. But have a timeline on this thing. How long do you foresee yourself going to be delaying something? Maybe it's a project, maybe it's a conversation. Maybe you can put this conversation is not important to have right now. It needs to be delayed by 24 hours because there's certain things going on that are a priority. Or perhaps it's, I really need to quit this job. I really need to move on. But, I need 6 months. I need a year. I need 1 month. And just give yourself that very comfortable, very supported deadline that allows you to have that good feeling. And what is it you need? Find out what do I need to do in order to be able to delay this? What discussion do you need to have? And here's a big one. If you're just emotionally not ready for something, it's going to be an emotional thing and you're not ready. That is, you need to delay that. Go inside and find out whether it's just, are you expressing, like this is a throat chakra here, are we expressing what we need to do? So funny enough, because this is Light on Living, I found this wonderful quote on Living in the Light affirmation, and it says, today I release the desire to rush. I pause. I breathe. I take in each moment fully, beholding the presence of the divine in all things. I trust divine timing, knowing all I need is lining itself up in perfect order. That's a really neat thing there about in perfect order. Doesn't mean it's perfect in perfection. It's in perfect order. So if you're going to choose to delay something, it's because there is a divine perfect order that is there for you. And as we do those very things, we don't rush. We pause. We breathe. And you are present in that moment fully and really, truly behold that presence. That's when things align and allow it to go through. So in that delaying of things, it's as equally important as doing something. It's as equally important as dropping something. Delegating, as we went on, each of those are so equal. And I just love that being able to have a discussion with yourself and with somebody else who maybe is supportive of you and can see from the outside of, have someone help you go through that list. Go through your to-do list and say, okay, here, I've got to remove this. Now, I just love books and authors and everything, and I thought, wow, there's an analogy here. If you think about writing a book, if you're going to write it, that's the doing of it. I'm going to do this, do it, I write it. Now, when you decide to drop something in a book, that's when you edit it. You're editing, you're doing your edits, and you're removing stuff and putting stuff in and switching it around. And when you delegate, that's kind of a neat thing because you have an author versus a writer. So an author, it doesn't mean that they're the writer. So you've delegated, you have a writer helping you to do this. And then delay, I thought, how neat is this? Because sometimes you're delaying some content because it's going to be for the second book. It's not the first book, it's the second book. So I'm hoping that analogy, that final book analogy, will help people to go, all of you, when you're just looking at that list, say, you know what, is this time to write this? Do I get this done or not? And to edit it, figure out, that's my drop. And then to delegate it, who has the skills that match what I need to get done? And delay, you know what, I'm not ready to do this right now, whether it be emotionally. Delay can even be monetary. Maybe we don't have the money just quite yet to do something. But it doesn't mean we need to rush. It just means things will fall into place and get everything all lined up and set up for yourself ahead of time. And feel confident in your judgment. I think that's one of the things I want to close off with the saying is, I'm confident in my own judgment. And whether you decide to do anything, I hope that all of these things have really, really supported you in going through your list, to remind you to be like water, to help you to go, just don't push through things and don't judge yourself, and be that confidence in saying, you know, there's a lot on my list. So the final fours are do, drop, delegate, and delay. Now, looking forward to the next few shows. I hope you come back and visit us and Light on Living on Mondays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time here. And with all this, I hope your to-do list becomes a beautiful want list. And just remember, don't regret, reset. Thank you so much for listening to Light on Living. I'm Lisa Berry. We'll see you next week.